Hi everybody, so welcome to topic 9, which is plant biology. So we're starting with 9.1 and our first topic is transpiration. So we just learned about photosynthesis and we learned that plants create their own sugar and their own glucose through photosynthesis. And what that is literally taking sunlight, taking carbon dioxide, and taking water and creating a carbon compound, like glucose, fructose, sugars. So we need water, carbon dioxide, and we need sunlight to do that. So transpiration is the loss of water vapor through the leaves, stems, and any other part of the plant that is above the ground. And we know that plants absorb water through their roots, and we may or may not have known that they then transport that water to the leaves. So this is good because it provides all parts of the plant with water needed for cellular support and for metabolism. However, 95% of that water is lost. 95% of that water is lost in the atmosphere through water vapor. And that's transpiration, the loss of water. So really, of all the water that you give a plant, only 5% of it the plant uses. So we need to understand what transpiration is and how it occurs. So the plants have these, on their leaves, they have something called a stomata. And you can see the stomata here. So this is a leaf, and this is the stomata. And what it is, it's literally just a pore or a hole. It's very tiny, it's microscopic. And this allows diffusion of carbon dioxide and oxygen. So this allows carbon dioxide to come into the leaf, and then it allows oxygen to leave the leaf and go into the atmosphere. Okay, so without these stomatas, the gas exchange could not happen. These stomatas have guard cells. So you can see here's a stomata. This is a guard cell. And the guard cells open and close. So when the guard cells are open, then there is an opening here for gas exchange, for carbon dioxide to come in and oxygen to leave. When the guard cells are closed, that obviously doesn't happen as efficiently. So these are stomatas, right? So that's great, they're really important. Unfortunately, guess what else can come out of here? Water vapor. So that's kind of like, we need these, but hey, it also sucks because we're losing a ton of water as well. So the water vapor leaves through the stomata as well. So transpiration is the loss of water vapor from the parts of the plant that are above ground, primarily the leaves. The large majority of water absorbed by the roots is lost through transpiration. Remember that transpiration occurs mainly through open stomata, so they leave through the stomata when the guard cells are open. It's an inevitable consequence of gas exchange in the leaf. We need those gases, and unfortunately, just a consequence is that we're also losing water. It also has a cooling effect on the leaf, so that's good. And it exerts a pull to move water from the roots into the leaves. So because transpiration is losing so much water, it causes the roots to send up more water and to supply the leaves. So a plant can stop transpiration by closing its stomata. However, closing its stomata also means that carbon dioxide can't come in and photosynthesis can't occur. So for most plants, stomatas are open during the day when light is also present to allow photosynthesis to proceed. So they're open during the day, that way there's so much light and carbon dioxide can come in so photosynthesis can happen. Wow. And also during the day, it's obviously hotter than at night. So the evaporation of that water leaving the plant also helps cool the leaves so that they don't overheat in direct sunlight. And then during the nighttime, the stomata usually close, and that allows them to conserve water. So during the day when the stomata is open, that water needs to be constantly replaced or the plant will dry out. Transpiration itself exerts a pulling force which helps the water move faster. So like I said, this happens in most plants, but like always, there are some exceptions and some adaptations that you need to be familiar with. So you need to be familiar with two different kinds of plants that work differently. And the first one is kind of awesome because they're all over Arizona because we live in a desert. So obviously we live in a desert and it's very hot and there's a lot of sunlight. So xerophytes are plants that have adapted to live in conditions where liquid water is difficult to obtain and where it's really, really hot. So we're talking about succulents, cacti, things like that. So obviously in the desert, it doesn't rain that much. So these plants have adapted to decrease transpiration rates. So to decrease the rate at which water is leaving the plant. So you need to be familiar with xerophytes and some of their adaptations that prevent them from losing so much water, that decrease their transpiration rate. So some of their adaptations are they have a thick waxy cuticle on their leaf, and that is hydrophobic, meaning that it does not like water, it does not interact with water. So that waxy hydrophobic creates a barrier on the leaf that prevents water loss. Another example is that they have, or another adaptation is that they have fewer stomata. So because there are fewer stomata, it reduces transpiration rate by having fewer openings in the leaf. So kind of another really big one is that they have what is called cam physiology, which literally means that the stomata close during the day. So unlike all other plants that have their stomata open during the day, xerophytes have them closed during the day. So the stomata open at night and they collect all of the carbon dioxide and then they store it. And then they use that during the day, but their stomatas are actually closed. So during the day when they do photosynthesis, they literally just use all of the carbon dioxide that they collected the night before. Pretty smart, right? They also have curled or rolled leaves, and that reduces transpiration because there is a reduced surface area for water loss. They also have tissues that allow for water storage, and xerophytes are really cool. The other type of plant that you need to be familiar with that has adapted to decrease transpiration rates is a halophyte. So a halophyte are plants that have adaptations to survive in environments of high salinity, meaning high salt. So whether they're planted in high soil or very waterlogged soils. So they have a high concentration of organic solutes, which increases osmolarity. They have salt storages in the leaf, so it accumulates salt in a limited area by filling the salt glands until they release crystals on the leaf. And they also have some of the same adaptations that xerophytes have, so they conserve water by having fewer stomata, they have water storage tissues as well, they have a thick cuticle, and other adaptations like that. So there are also some factors that affect transpiration. So the first one is heat. So temperature. As temperature increases, the rate of transpiration increases because the hotter it is, the more the plant is going to want to cool down. So the more water it is going to lose to help cool it down through like the evaporation. Another example is humidity. So as humidity increases, the rate of transpiration decreases. And that's because there is so much water moisture in the air already that the plant really isn't going to let any more out because water is plentiful.